If you're preparing to do a low buy year in 2024, hopefully this video will help you have the most successful 12 months. And if you've never tried one of these, or if you're going back and forth with what to do next year, now is really the best time to experiment, especially with inflation and everything else being just so expensive. There's really no better time to start saving more money. So whether your motivation is to control your spending, to build a savings account, or to live a more minimalist life, here are a few tips to help you prepare. So before starting the journey of a low buy year, the number one thing you need to do is take inventory, which will lay the foundation for a successful and mindful approach to spending. And this is really simple, and it basically involves just assessing and cataloging all the items that you currently own. And this includes everything from clothes to shoes, from household items to electronics. When some people do a low buy year, I think they make the mistake of jumping into it without doing a lot of the preliminary steps that are needed for it to be successful. So with that being said, taking inventory is something that you should not underestimate, because this step can really provide awareness and clarity with regard to your current possessions. Sometimes we buy stuff without taking a moment to pause and think about what's already sitting in our closets. So systematically going through your items can remind you of things that you've probably forgotten about, which can reduce the likelihood of unnecessary repurchases. So this not only saves you money, it also prevents the accumulation of duplicate items. In addition, taking inventory can also promote a more intentional and mindful relationship with your possessions. It allows you to evaluate each item's value and usefulness in your life, so going forward, you can then focus on acquiring items that enhance your life and bring joy, rather than succumbing to impulse purchases. So start your low buy year by categorizing your belongings, and it helps to take it one category at a time. You'll evaluate each item based on its relevance and value to your life, and as you go through this process, consider donating or selling items that no longer serve a purpose. Also, deciding what you're allowed to buy outside of needs during a low buy year is a great way to redefine your relationship with consumption. So in other words, from the very start, you have to establish a clear roadmap for the year. Because if you don't have a clearly defined plan, it will be so easy to justify buying things that you don't need or can't afford. But on the other hand, when you create specific guidelines for acceptable purchases, what you're actually doing is creating a boundary that supports your financial goals. Boundaries can also help you prioritize needs over wants, because it encourages a shift in mindset, in which case you're more likely to question whether a potential purchase is essential or a fleeting desire. And at the end of the day, it's really this type of self-reflection that's going to help you be more successful, because it contributes to a more intentional approach to spending. Keep in mind that needs are automatically included on your allowed list for the year, which can include housing, insurance, food, or basically any expense that isn't a choice. Now, when it comes to your allowed expenses that fall outside of needs, you want to be very specific about what goes into this category. For example, you might only allow clothes purchases if it's replacing a worn out item or it serves another purpose. In addition, you might only allow yourself to eat out if you're celebrating a special occasion, and then you'll identify which occasions count. Also, when it comes to allowed purchases outside of needs, establishing a dollar limit is key to maintaining control over your spending. These limits provide a concrete boundary which prevent overspending and help you stay within your financial means. So you're essentially creating a tangible guideline that can reinforce your commitment to a low buy year. And I really love the idea of setting a dollar limit, because it forces you to prioritize even if you don't realize that's what you're doing. Because before you make any potential purchase, you have to then consider the importance and value of that item in your life and how the purchase fits in with your budget. In addition, creating a monthly shopping list is an added bonus during a low buy year. The primary goal is to minimize unnecessary purchases and focus on essential needs. Therefore, a monthly shopping list can be an effective tool for identifying necessities right from the start. So by planning out certain purchases at the beginning, each shopping trip has clear intentions. And this type of framework encourages responsible spending, because when you know exactly what you need before you leave the house, you can then navigate these stores with precision, which reduces the likelihood of being tempted by sales and promotions. So in addition to the initial inventory that you'll do, you'll also want to conduct a detailed inventory of essentials at the beginning of each month. This involves evaluating your current stock of household items and personal care products to see what needs replenishing, and then only buying what you need to prevent overconsumption. During a low buy year, you can also make an effort to shift your mindset from possessions to meaningful experiences. Now, I realize that everyone is different, but from personal experience, and I'm sure that some people might agree with me, but in my opinion, experiences tend to be more memorable. In addition, they can also be cost effective because many meaningful experiences don't necessarily require a significant amount of money. Whether it's a weekend getaway, a picnic in the park, or a creative DIY project, these might provide more satisfaction compared to the transient thrill from acquiring more stuff. And to help you prioritize experiences during your low buy year, you can start by setting aside a specific budget for activities that bring joy and fulfillment. Next, you'll identify experiences of strong interest, whether it's attending local events, exploring nature, or engaging in community activities. It also helps to plan ahead for these activities by creating a monthly or quarterly calendar that includes outings of interest. You can also plan shared experiences with friends and family, which can encourage a collective shift toward prioritizing moments over things. Also, opting for cash payments in categories where you tend to overspend can also be an effective strategy during a low buy year. And one key advantage of using cash is that you're able to hold it in your hands, so it becomes so much easier to stay within a predetermined limit. Cash payments can create a psychological barrier to overspending because when you physically hand over money, the transaction might feel more real compared to using a digital payment. In which case, this might encourage you to think twice before making impulse purchases. So start by identifying areas where you historically overspend and then create designated envelopes or pouches for each spending category. You'll label these accordingly and then place cash into each respective envelope at the beginning of the month. This will make it easier to track and manage your budget. And as a pro tip, if you find that you consistently have cash left over in one category while also struggling in another, redistribute funds to better align with your priorities. And finally, being flexible and revisiting or tweaking your budget can ensure a successful low buy year. So many things can impact your finances over a 12-month period, which can include unexpected expenses, a shift in income, or even a change in priorities. So even though a low buy year is a journey of intentional and mindful consumption, the reality is your initial budget may need adjusting as you better understand your needs and habits. And revisiting your budget from time to time can help you identify areas where you consistently underspend or overspend. So schedule regular check-ins, either monthly or quarterly, and then use these sessions to assess your spending patterns and look for opportunities for improvement. The bottom line is that you really have to be flexible and have an open mind during the tweaking process because a low buy year will only be successful if it's realistic to your needs and priorities.